On this week's design dive, I'll be quickly covering the Rubic integration with ENCTR, what that is, and how it fits into our other purchasing options. I'll also be giving a look at our dashboard rework and how that ties into other areas of the app, such as the profile. And lastly, I'll be giving a first glimpse into the return of 5129. Protocol 5129 was an NFT that we initially released for our presale, and we're going to be extending its utility and giving it a complete overhaul design-wise. And that'll be coming out in just a few weeks. So hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get started. So to start things off, I basically just wanted to go over Rubic and our official integration with Rubic. If you're unfamiliar with it, it essentially allows you to swap any token for any token on any chain. It really simplifies the process, and we saw it as an easy way to try to onboard people easier into the protocol. So if you go to our website, our main site, you'll notice that the top bar here is changed just a little bit. Some of that is like optimization, and I'm continuing some work on getting things where they need to be. You can still find the Discord links in the docs, as well as the news and info. You'll notice this buy ENCTR button. If you click that, it will take you to sort of our purchase page. And as we get more options and we figure out what's working the best, we can look at sort of adjusting this as we go. The goal is always for us is to figure out what's easiest for people and what's bridging that sort of Web3 experience easier. Our official ENCTR widget with Rubic is very, very simple. Essentially, it just autofills the token for you. And from here, you can sort of choose any chain or token that you want to swap to after connecting your wallet. And yeah, it's a really straightforward way to do that, to acquire more ENCTR. If we jump over to the app design, I wanted to show what this will probably look like once we get that working React component. The Rubic team they're really good. I've been talking with a lot of the guys over with Rubic, and they didn't take into account some DApp integration. There's some blockers there, but I think that getting a workable React component, and they said that they'd be willing to work on that for us, and as well as just a React implementation for everybody. But this is just kind of to give an idea of what that'll probably look like in the app. So there will be an added button at the top. And rather than having to go to like an external page for quick swap, for instance, this would just be a widget that lives inside the app itself. So for whatever reason you wanted to grab more ENCTR, you could do so just from this pop-up that would live here. For this next portion, I just kind of want to go over the new dashboard that's going to be dropping in a few days, maybe sooner than that. It's currently already live on our staging site. If you're not familiar with that, it's beta.enctr.gg. That is the sort of staging branch for our D app, where we can push and test changes to before it hits live. So again, that's beta.enctr.gg if you want to check it out. I don't think by the time this video has gone up, we've shown anything for the new dashboard, so I'm just going to kind of tear through it and then show you guys what's new and how that sort of, how these changes affect different portions of the app, including the profile. So first things first, some of the most vocal feedback that we got when we were beta testing the app itself was, and more recently was, people really just wanted a way to see, what they have in the ENCTR protocol, what the total worth of that is. This new assets overview portion on the dashboard is just going to basically provide a summary for you. And we'll basically just be showing the USD equivalent of your ENCTR tokens right off the bat. And we're also going to show you how many NFTs you have collected per sort of partnered project. That's going to live at the top. It'll show you the total count. And that's all sort of just compiled into the assets overview. So it's really just a quicker way to see what you've got in the protocol without having to do, pull up the balance sheet and do some calculations as far as the worth of your encounter. That can be improved on our side as well with just putting more USD conversions and other currency conversions throughout the app. It is a work in progress, but I think we're moving well in that direction. So beneath that, we've got sort of these 3 new cards. The whole purpose with these is just to split out the metrics a bit and just give you a good idea of what's happening with the protocol. So off the bat, you'll be able to see the encounter price. Our purchasing options, again, we're still trying to figure out the best way to get people in and how that plays out in the app and the website. You'll be able to have your purchasing options here, viewing the chart for a direct link. The market cap will be split out on its own with a nice metric just showing what's changed since X period of time. That's pretty much just a sort of a catch up UI mechanic, and then again the G encounter price, which you're also able to view wrapping from this as well. The reason we sort of pulled the G encounter out on its own over here, like separated from encounter, and you'll also notice S encounter is not here. That was sort of done intentionally. We're going to see how it plays out, but really the two like important sort of prices is regular encounter and then G encounter. So that's sort of the new row at the top. The quick buy bond option is going to stay. We've definitely noticed that that's like a very much so requested and like used feature now that it's in there. So we didn't want to remove that. Again, it's just going to show you the bond options. You're able to view your assets from the dashboard as well. Whatever that bond is linked to. And one thing I'm really excited about is this new sort of finance card. So our goal with this and all the stuff inside the finance modules is really to like figure out a way to just give you a good idea of what you have in there, what you're earning, what your rewards are, and then also consolidating all the rebase information. So this new finance card is actually just going to have the current APY I showed at the top. This again, this APY is if you stake your encounter tokens, what are you getting in return? We actually have a timer now underneath, and it's going to tell you exactly when the next rebase event is going to occur. And this updates in real time, so it doesn't require any refreshing. Now, granted, the rebase time, the time between each rebase event might be, like 8 hours. So you're not exactly going to be able to sit there and watch it go up. but it is there. So if you tab out or you close your phone or whatever and you come back, it's basically an active timer. So that's really cool. And easy to set up as well. So that's going to be this stuff's all going to be implemented fast. Like I said, I think either within the next 1 to 2 days, you can get an early preview of it on the staging site. But that'll drop on the live site pretty shortly here. And then at the bottom, obviously, we want to keep that information about the modules. So each of these module cards for Battlescape, Forge, and Arsenal, these are going to link to their own section under our encounter docs. And that URL is docs.encounter.gg. And then obviously we're leaving ourselves some room underneath to expand. Again, right, the goal of this dashboard update was to just try to consolidate as much as we could. There was a lot of wording and verbiage on the previous dashboard, which I think served us really well for our initial launch. But there was definitely means to improve that. The wording sort of gets lost, and in my opinion, it was hard to see exactly what you were supposed to look at. There's a lot of just information thrown at you, and I think this new dashboard look is going to provide the same sort of relative info, but just a nice, cleaner look. So again, each of these you'll still be able to visit each of the finance pages through here. Things have just adjusted a bit. The quick buy bond is still available. So speaking on the profile system itself, I haven't given an update on that in a couple weeks, and there is a reason for that, which I'll touch on towards the end of this section. But just specifically to the dashboard, as we start filling up our catalog of like partnered projects, obviously the if you hold NFTs for that project, they'll be displayed at the top. This view more button is going to take you to eventually lead you to your profile, where we really want to display the sort of collection between all of them that you're gathering yourself. And we have the ability to show the thumbnails and previews for the NFTs that you have that are connected to your wallet. So that's just sort of the forward thinking that I'm doing for the profile system. Is just I really wanted to include that NFT portion at the top, so that when it comes time to expand into the profile, we can fit that in nicely. And your collection page is not going to be incredibly complex off the bat, but I just think it would be really, really nice to be able to understand that these NFT projects are connected to Encounter. I can view them in my collection, right? And then there could also be additional information, whether it's on the collection screen or the access screen, which I showed last design dive. And just see, okay, what does holding these NFTs, these partner NFTs, give me? What do they give me access to? And viewing like additional details about them. So for the profile, just as a general development update for the profile, we're not going to be implementing a light version of the profile. I would say, for the next several weeks. Just it's not really our development focus right now. Um, I'm going to touch on Battlescape in the next portion, but I think I should just like make that clear that again, this is the profile system is very important to us, but it requires like setting up databases behind so that we can provide people customization options. Um, and it really serves to tie all the modules together. So it is a priority of ours, but getting Battlescape and that beta up and running is like the number one priority at the moment. So you're going to see the Battlescape beta before you see the profile implemented. I just wanted to make that sort of clear, but that's why that I just kind of wanted to get that out there. Why that NFT space lives up here and what that's going to be for. And this will likely adjust too as we pack more utility in and like figure out what the different options are as a holder of these partner NFTs. But that will all live at the top. So that pretty much wraps up the dashboard. Personally, I just I really I'm personally really enjoying the direction that the app's going. I think it's going to just be like a ton of fun to use when Battlescape drops and we're tying everything together and really putting that first sort of big utility out there. Everything is going to sort of fall into place for us and for the app. So I'm really excited about that. So look out for the dashboard update to your live app in the next day or two. The beta site again has it available if you want to check it out early. But like I said, some of the styling and colors and layout things will be adjusted. What you're seeing on the staging site. So just a heads up. For this next portion, I am going to talk a bit about 5129. So Protocol 5129 was initially released as an NFT for our presale. It just gave people a buying option to get in before we launched. But we've always sort of had the philosophy of wanting to create, an NFT that fully encompass the protocol. It act as your access card to everything. And when upgrades came to the protocol into our modules, and we release new modules that require an access point or some kind of input from you whether that be something like the Arsenal Battle Pass, or possibly additional features for and unlockables for like Battlescape and Forge, and how does that all tie together? And um, I think the obvious choice for us was to revisit 5129, revisit the art direction, the design choices of it, revisit the utility behind it. And so this is going to be dropping in just a couple weeks. We're going to be completely redoing the 5129 NFT. I'll show some images of what it looked like prior, what the utility changes are for 5129, and I'll also show the new design that I've been working on for it. And it's going to be kicked up about 12 notches from the prior. So just looking at the original NFT, this is a still render mockup of the original, sort of a cinematic looking render out that we used just for promotional purposes. But I think it showcases best the theme that we were going for, the design approach for it. We've got the sort of encounter crystal in the middle, and we've got the modular aspects. But the one thing that we're going to be improving with the next iteration is this. This NFT was largely just static. There was maybe some implied motion with how some of the UI is laid out, but it didn't look all that interactive. It certainly had dimension to it, and it felt like a real thing. But the next generation of 5129 that we're dropping is going to be fully animated, and it's going to get a big design overhaul, especially on the front side. This is just another mock-up showing off the top portion. As you can see, like in the top right, we have that sort of containment orb, and that is a direct tie to the ECP story that we've been working on and building. Really, we wanted the access cards to feel like you owned a piece of the protocol, and so that sort of orb in the top right conveys that best, and we wanted to make it feel like there was something energized and sort of mysterious within. It's you can't exactly tell what's going on in the middle. It's sort of almost looks like it's contained or jailed away. And I think we nailed the sort of sci-fi thematic aspect. But again, like this next generation, we really want to drive home that feeling that you've got this moving, active, live piece of the protocol. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, like obviously the title, which I just showed a few moments ago, will be updated. Not much to show here. I obviously some of our fonts have changed, and that obviously needs to be reflected. But that's just another piece that just something to look out for on social media, things like that. When we start promoting it, we'll have a nice spiffy new title for it. This is just showing off the actual artwork that went into the front. Again, I'm in love with the design. I think we pulled it off really well. But the lack of motion is sort of the biggest sort of pain point for that first iteration. Is we at least me personally, I felt like we didn't quite capture the energy behind the NFT and what it's the thematic behind it. Lots of implied UI elements, but nothing moving. And so you'll definitely see a big overhaul there. Just another full rendering of the NFT. This is a massive PNG file that wound up making its way into the final NFT version, the actual image, the image itself. And looking at this, I mean, yeah, the lighting, I think we did a really great job with and showcasing the different textures and stuff. And then obviously this was like one of the promotional pieces we put out. People said they loved like the sort of like hand aspect underneath holding it. So that was the previous iteration. So I wanted to pull the old iteration alongside the new iteration that I'm building into Blender and just talk a bit about the new design approach and what we want the final version to be. So just directly looking at the size, it's going to be pretty similar. It's going to be pretty symmetrical. We're still going to keep a piece of the protocol contained in the corner. The screen itself, I'm going to be building a full, almost like AR sci-fi interactable screen with this. The final NFT is going to be animated. It won't be a still render. So moving pieces is key here. And it's been a lot of fun so far, just planning out how we're gonna do this and what that's gonna look like. A lot of the same thematic with the sort of sci-fi elements and the branding and the colors are all going to remain. But the biggest change is really the moving pieces themselves. So I'm currently building out the structure of this new version to have sort of moving parts, mechanical parts. So you could imagine that you could go and plug in this new version to something with almost like a RAM stick looking chip at the bottom that would you could separate and reveal the chip and plug it in somewhere. It's going to be a bit thicker, mostly just to compensate for the containment. I think that the original iteration was a bit too, on the thin side. And you can imagine if you were to lay if you were to lay this guy down on the table, you might be looking at like rolling around kind of situation. It wouldn't lay flat almost. So looking at it from a product design standpoint is one thing that I really, really enjoy doing is let's make the design make just a bit more sense physically. And speaking on the utility portion, this sort of chip integration into the card is very purposeful. So we view the sort of utility for 5129. It's going to be upgradable and extend into all of our future modules, and it's going to actually serve as your access card. And so really building a product here that could exist in the real world. You could imagine taking this into your hand and typing stuff or plugging it in. That's the goal. And again, selling that with legitimate like movement and animations and things like that. So the screen is going to be a fully fledged screen rather than just a, like a static decal. Lots of more, sort of intentional design choices with how it would look and feel in person. And yeah, this is, obviously it's the early steps, but even when I look at where it is right now, like I've got such a good idea of where I want to take it. And, ENCOUNTR is all about longevity, sustainability, bringing new people in, and bridging that Web 2 to Web 3 gap. So providing the option for this NFT to be upgraded in the future is massive. And I view this new iteration that'll be coming out as a starting point for something much bigger, to where we can offer, the ability for, say, a new module comes out, rather than your version of the NFT just being completely outdated and unusable, and like a lack of utility. Now that things have moved forward, this new version is going to serve as your actual access card. So that's the overarching sort of goal for the new version. And I'm really excited to keep working on this and give a bigger update, next week and drop some developments on that. And yeah, I will. I'll keep you guys posted, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I just wanted to kind of give a first glimpse into that. 5129 is coming back just a couple weeks, so keep your eyes peeled.